Righty, it seems that we are live right now. I'm gonna copy video URL and post it to the main chat. And we are muting main chat for the duration of the podcast. Give me a second, please, to mute everyone. All right. Hello. All right. We are live right now, and I'm muting the main chat right now too. Give me a second, please. Okay. Chat is muted. Chat is muted. So, yeah, one sec. All right, we're set up everything, and we're live. All right, so can you hear me? Okay, good. So regarding the single stock exchange, the some people already might notice that we are updating the design. This is absolutely normal since we're transitioning, we're improving ourselves, listen to you guys because we heard some of you guys have questions on the design, right? We're improving, we're changing stuff, so I'm not ready to say we'll be changing everything according to the new design too, but just like it's a small notice, right? Just Oh, okay. One sec, please. What's the part I have to repeat? All right, so I'm not saying that it's 100% we're gonna change everything, but I think we're going to make a small transition. This is not like small addition to what we're doing, right? Just because I know that some guys were complaining about it, so I think it's important to know that we're listening to you guys. Yeah. All right. Yeah. R- Yeah, I would like to encourage everyone to raise your hands, and we're gonna plug you into the podcast. You can ask your questions about the upcoming single stock and all the other stuff. Sorry, my connection is a little bit choppy right now, so I wouldn't be that active as always. But I'm trying to fix it right now. I'm sorry.
They have, 4 or 5 pretty high-profile firms behind them that have helped to fund their development for their whole ecosystem, and they've built this ecosystem that's very very accessible in terms of just hopping online and checking it out, and it's very slick. But what they've come to discover, and they also do a lot of community development in terms of interacting with the community to see how are people using this. Their CEO slash lead developer is a guy named Do Kwon, who has a sort of cultish fan base on Twitter, and he's very active on Twitter. There's a lot of engagement with the community, and what they've sort of discovered along the way is that a lot of these products are a little too sophisticated for the average investor in terms of they're a bit complicated. The user interfaces, they're very pretty and they're very slick, but they're actually a little confusing to use, more so than I think they realized. And so very very seasoned investors in DeFi have taken to them the products like duck to water, but for people that are relatively new to crypto, it's been harder to onboard people and harder to get them properly invested. in the ecosystem. So for them, a partnership with Wall Street Bets, which is all about making this easy for everyone to participate and invest and earn yield and all of those things, was kind of a very, very welcomed match, because they're looking for more and more ways to make the products that they develop available and accessible to a broader audience. And another one of their products coming out of Terra Labs is something called UST, which is a stable coin that is attempting to compete with USDT and USDC. And I think we'll come to see how that does or doesn't factor into this ecosystem. And again, we would love for you guys to speak. We have this unique situation of having a really large community on Telegram and also on Twitter, and very, very active in the chat, but very, very shy in the voice chat. And we're really wanting to, encourage everyone to let their voices be heard, and to feel comfortable speaking in here. And even if there's no such thing as a stupid question too, if you're like, what is a synthetic stock, don't be embarrassed to ask that. We just want our community to be as informed as possible and as armed with information as possible, and really as excited about this as we are. So yeah. And we can jump into more details about the assets that are going to be available. But Meow, would you like to read down the list of current, the sort of the stocks that we're going to launch with, and then what the expanded offering will be?
All right, give me a second, okay? I'm gonna open it from my screen because I'm reading it live right now from a beta version. So the assets which are planned right now would be Apple, Netflix, Microsoft, Amazon, Alibaba, Tesla, Google, Invesco, Twitter, Ethereum itself, and more to come soon. Yeah. But this is like for now. This is just the beginning. We will get more and more stocks later on as soon as we'll expand our partnerships.
Right. So we're launching with a select offering of stocks that will expand over time. It will more and more reflect the tastes and instincts of the Wall Street Bets community.
Yes, exactly.
I think there's a very strong vision that this project, is something that, Wall Street Bets obviously originated in the stock world, and a lot of the community is heavily invested in the stock side. And plenty of the community hasn't necessarily transitioned to the decentralized app side of this yet. And so, this is really about bringing together, both the stock world and the crypto world into one platform that, people can trade stocks as crypto. And people can participate in products like ETPs, which have historically only been available with stocks, so that you can get exposure to the best of both worlds, that, no matter what the greater market is doing, if the stock market's doing really well and crypto is going really slow, that you have access to that as well, without having to, move asset to Robinhood or, E-Trade or these more popular sort of stock trading, popular, but somewhat deteriorating stock trading platforms. And I think that there's also a recognition that GME and AMC have been really popular with this community, and I think there's a little bit of talk around creating those for this platform, or access to those through the synthetic stocks. And I think the other thing we should probably talk about, Meow, is the chain that these are on, that these are going to be available on.
Oh, yeah, of course. Absolutely forgot to mention. Right now, we launching it on Ethereum chain, right? This is right now, this is like where we start. But I understand everyone, even myself, when I was checking fees, like awful big fees. Like, and everyone understands it, I think, right? This is why right now we are planning to ship a little bit later the Binance Smart Chain and Polygon network afterwards. So we're gonna be on the 3 blockchains and swappable between them too. Assets would be swappable. So this is what I can tell you right now, exactly right now. Right, and so what? Blockchain, yes. Assets, yes. What else remained? Oh yeah, of course. It's got the trade's gonna be using the USDT, the Tether, right? I almost forgot to say that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're using the USDT as a pack to USD, not the USDC like it was initially planned, but decided to go to USDT since we think that USDT have a little bit more adoption. Oh, Floppy wants to talk. Hey, Floppy.
Hello. Hi there. I'm at work, so usually it's difficult trying to find the time to say something. But just curious when we're going to be able to see the platform. I think a few days ago it was announced it was going to be the next day, and then it kind of seems to be delayed again. So just kind of curious if there's a timeline or if that's been determined. Last I saw there was beta on the Gov site, but I haven't seen anything there either. So I guess kind of a partly a question and partly a feedback thing. There seems to be a lot of confusion on the communication side. And I know, especially in the crypto world, that's, I guess, concerning for a lot of people. People like to see instant news and everything like that. I'm generally more patient and understanding, but it'd be nice if we could get some clearer communication on what's going on and when we're going to see certain things.
Yeah, I totally agree on that, but sometimes we have to take a little bit more time to test out. We initially announced the time we were planned to do it, right? But just, last minute testing showed that we had to postpone it a little bit. So don't worry, guys. We just don't want to ship we don't want to ship to you guys crappy products, basically, right? It takes time to, yeah. Also,
yeah. Although I do think
agree.
I do think it's really good feedback though that we should be sharing with leadership just about a level of communication that the community needs to understand how things are tracking, which is I think what you're kind of getting at, Floppy. It's just that once your mind is engaged in something and anticipating, even if it's not delivered on time, you want to be able to track it day to day to kind of understand, missed the launch, is it pushed off a week? We don't have the answer to that today in terms of what day it's going live, but I think that the prudent feedback would be, can we at the very least, begin the process of sharing the interface, even if it's a teaser or a screenshot, so that people can start to anticipate, what it is they have to look forward to, because I think every new product that gets released takes a minute to kind of get your head around and figure out. So the more time you guys have to think about it and study it and understand it, the more ready you're going to be to utilize it when it's launched.
But honestly, that's agreement.
Yeah, I agree.
That's extremely good point.
A teaser of some sort would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Floppy, what was that?
I was just saying I agree. A teaser of some sort would be nice. And I forgot to mention earlier as well, on the Medium post, on the most recent one, it currently says that the beta is available on the Gov site, which clearly it isn't. So there's kind of a disconnect there. And I think I've shared similar feedbacks directly with BTC VIX, but I think communication is one of the things that's, in my opinion, is lacking a little bit here. And
okay.
So anyway, just a point of feedback. I'm bullish on the product as a whole, but I think that's an area that really could use some improvement, especially when we have such a large community. That communication is going to be really important. So anyway, that's all.
I think that's fair, and I think that's a point well taken, and I think that it's helpful to have that coming from you guys, because when we share it, it's going to have a lot more weight than us sort of communicating that in a vacuum. So thank you.
So actually, can I say something? Like, we have a question, but this time from YouTube, by the way.
What's that?
So the Don't Nag Just Back user just asked, right? Since Polygon is being considered, should we be loading on Ethereum more than on BNB? And that's actually a little bit good question because I can a little bit expand it. Because some people don't understand that the ETPs and the Wsbdapp token are just a little bit separated, and they put on a separate chain for a reason. So we should say address it one more time. What do you think, Venus?
Well, in terms of people asking whether, what they should be funding their accounts with in anticipation of this, and I mean, it's not a
No, it's not our
it's not a
job.
shitcoin launch.
It's not our job to say
so
what they should
I
do
would
best.
say, like,
But I want to tell.
there's.
Oh. No, go on.
No, I would just say, like, this launch isn't the same thing as, like, you have to be locked and ready to go from the first second out the gates or you're going to miss it. I would more start thinking about, what level of investment do you want to make in these stocks starting out? How do you want to make those investments over time, and really start to plan an investment strategy that you can follow as a to just sort of, this isn't something you need to FOMO into or be reactive to. It's actually something that requires your initiative to say, yeah, you know what, I want exposure to these stocks. I want it on the crypto side. I want it 24/7. I want it worldwide. And, this is a trusted platform that I'm excited about. So I think I'm going to start with, whatever that number is. It's different for everyone. And, personally, the way that I tend to look at this stuff is just how much can I invest every week or every month? And it's more about making sure that's set aside for myself so I don't spend it on other shit. So I can actually know that it's there when I need it. But I wouldn't necessarily so much get into the mindset of thinking that, you have to be locked and loaded for this the second it's out the gates, that you might a normal launch of a token or a project. But I would say that, yes, Ethereum is going to be the chain that this is on in the beginning. I think Ethereum is generally, investment anyways. I would probably personally load up on stable coins and convert it last minute, because the market is very frothy right now. And whether it's BNB or Ethereum or Bitcoin, I mean, everything's fluctuating pretty dramatically, at least 5. So, to me, it's like stable coins are the best way to store your money until the chain you need to convert it into invest in the product. And so this will be, on the Ethereum chain, it'll be USD on the ERC20 version of that. This is also, again, I think sometimes it's easy for us to forget how clunky the sort of onboarding process can be when you're trying to figure out, what chain you're on, because a lot of people here are going to be very used to BSC. So we're going to be happy to answer those questions. I'm sure whether it's in the chat, whether you guys need help in DM or whatnot. I mean, we're here to give you whatever support you need to be able to make this as painless and seamless as possible to kind of get in the position you want to be in.
Yeah, but I want to add a little bit to that. Since the WSB project, basically, right? You should understand that we're working already on different networks, and the token itself is just a tiny little bit separated. I want to address that. It's tiny little bit separated from the ETPs and from the single stock exchange. Just because we want to put the Wsbdapp token as a government token and state it like that. Otherwise, we'll create just a little bit trouble with economics, with tokenomics later on. So this is why we put it on a different chains, first of all. But we're still considering for single stock, we're still considering using the Binance Smart Chain because fees, first of all, right? And second of all, I guess because just convenient, right? People like Binance Smart Chain, just faster, easier, in my opinion. Also, I saw Yaroslav wanted to talk. He raised his hand. So, Yaroslav, you here with us? No? Okay. So yeah, I think I answered your question. Don't nag, just back. Right, and yeah, do anyone have other questions? We're ready to answer them. Can you guys hear me, by the way?
And I think another thing to introduce, because, for me, a lot of this is about priming the community for what's to come, so that there's, people know what to expect and what to anticipate, and can kind of start the process of mentally preparing for it. And hopefully with that comes enthusiasm and excitement. And I think also, to Floppy's point, the more we communicate with you guys, the more sustainable that enthusiasm is. But this is the ambitions for this, and the roadmap for this is to go cross-chain or multi-chain, depending on your vernacular. I think a lot of you are going to understand what that is and what that means. Others of you are going to have noticed that trend in general, in terms of cross-chain swaps that allow you to sort of seamlessly move between, Binance, Ethereum, Polygon, etc. Pretty seamlessly, so that the friction of trying to access the products you want that exist on different chains is just removed from the process. And, we can create a portal where you can basically decide what you want and get it without having to, transfer between multiple exchanges and, deal with too many fees and sort of things. So, while we're not the only platform doing that, it is the emerging trend amongst platforms to not be so endemic to one chain. And there are different different products develop on different chains for different reasons. Ethereum's obviously known as probably the builder's chain. First and foremost, it's not cheap, but it's a lot more sophisticated, and it has a lot more integrity than a lot of the other chains. But that comes at a price. And there are a lot of planned updates for Ethereum as well that people are hoping will reduce those fees and those burdens and those, the time it takes to transfer. Matic is something that's poised to be very disruptive, but there aren't as many people developing on it yet as there are on, or I should say Polygon, Matic being the token of Polygon. A lot of the development is happening in BSC just because it's fast, cheap, and easy. So, come out with something that is Ethereum first. I hope the perception is that it's because it's actually a real product that took a lot of time and some serious developers to build. It wasn't something that we, thought, how do we just, copy paste something and get it out there as fast and cheap as possible. So it's part of why this process is taking so long, because we are building on Ethereum. Do we have more questions from the community? I'm sure someone in here has to have at least one tiny curiosity or complaint or criticism or thing to share. We have Blueprint. We have Jcash. And I also feel like, Floppy, I'm not sure if we fully acknowledged your core question in terms of when. And we haven't been given that specific information. I think they haven't informed us because they're not sure yet. They're sort of in that, probably 3-day to 7-day period of as soon as they can get it done, as soon as they can get it launched. And, I think they were very close to being ready and found a couple things that needed tweaking and are, burning the midnight oil to get it done, but they're afraid to say tomorrow until they know it's tomorrow. So, it's a frustrating aspect of development, but unfortunately also a common one where you kind of get to that, you're at the 5-yard line, you think you're almost at the goal, and, some tiny little disruption requires a lot more time than you think it would to fix. And I think they just don't know yet, whether it's a 24-hour, 48-hour kind of thing.
Yeah, I can understand that. I've got some dev experience, so I understand the delays are pretty much imminent, and it happens. So, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and it's really about communication. I understand was the bigger point, but I didn't let that go unacknowledged in terms of the actual timeline. We wish we knew. We were really excited to host an AMA on Wednesday to launch this and get the leadership in here to address the community with to answer the questions. Once the community had the product in hand and was playing around with it and could be more of a formative conversation, instead we were put on delay and wanted to make sure that we got in here with you guys and didn't, go AWOL during this week while they finalize what they're doing. But also because we are in this interesting period of them finalizing things, it's a pretty fertile time to get some feedback to them as well, just about, I think the communication point is a really good one. And maybe just sharing clearer timelines and whatnot. And I think we can advocate to get, a teaser or a screenshot or something out to you guys sooner than later so that you can start to get your head around it. Meow Meow, is there anything you'd like to add at this point?
Nah, nothing. Only apologizing to everyone for my voice quality, I think, because I'm struggling with fixing my internet right now. I have to restart my router.
Here's actually another update that we can share with you guys, which is we're also in a process of working to transition the podcast from Telegram to YouTube as a video podcast, and as something that can then also be shared to Twitter. And the recording will exist, the audio podcast will exist on multiple platforms in that scenario, but where we'll actually have a live video podcast, which obviously requires me to not be an avatar. But we're looking to sort of level this up. We realize Telegram, as much as we love, a lot of technical difficulties when it comes to hosting large groups, and we're often encountering voice delays and whatnot. And we're going to be doing our community chats that are strictly for the community, such as this, on Twitter Spaces. And then we're going to be doing the more programmed podcasts where we host guests or we host the leadership on YouTube as a video podcast. So that's something that we expect to transition to in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Kayvan, we have unmuted you. But you also have to unmute yourself.
Actually, I wanted to know if there is anything special with the seed drill share.
Sorry, with the what?
Because I have seen that it has been sinking too much today.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Actually, my question is about the seed drill share. If you have information about it.
Nah, we're not talking about it here.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, because I have just joined right away. I don't know what's going on here. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kevin. I wish I had understood that question a little bit better, but yeah, we're basically welcome. First of all, we're just updating the community on the developments around the single synth stock platform and ETP products as well, because there's been a little bit of a delay. And so we just wanted to get with the community to give them some insight and a forum to share thoughts, ideas, suggestions, complaints, compliments, all of those things, so that we can take that back to the leadership and make sure that there's just that constant bridge between the project developers and the community.
Venus, have to stop you here.
What's that, Meow Meow?
Have to stop you here because I think he's talking about the stocks on the stock market, not our project, and that's not what we're talking right now about.
Exactly.
Yes,
I actually asked the wrong question in the wrong time. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I was just updating him, Meow Meow, as to where we were
All right.
in the chat before he arrived.
Okay, I think we can wrap it up for now. I'll be available just in the 5 minutes after I restart my internet afterwards, and yeah. I think that's all what I wanted to say.
Okay, is any other questions before we sign off for the day? All right, guys, thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening. Please share the information with, and